Welcome back to Ref Watch. Let's get off to La Liga. Jude Bellingham could potentially face up to a 12-game ban after a red card in Real Madrid's 1-1 draw with Osasuna for dissent. A straight red card. The controversy centres on what Bellingham actually said. Addressing officials in offensive terms carries a potentially higher ban than a standard red card. Firstly, would that be the same if he did it in the Premier League, Jude Bellingham?
I think if you're sent off in the Premier League for the first time for foul, insulting or abusive language, too much ban. But that can be increased depending on what you said or how offensive it is. What's interesting reading this is the referee alleges that it was personal. Bellingham alleges that it was a remark into the ether, so to speak.
Yeah, Jude Bellingham said afterwards, he's believed I've said something insulting to him. There was no intent to insult him. There was no insult. And for that reason, I think you can see there was a misunderstanding. Obviously, without repeating certain words, what would constitute getting a big chunky ban in England?
I think if you become insulting and personal, you know, once you become personal about a referee as officials, you're facing a heavy sentence, so to speak. A word the referees won't have is you call a referee a cheat.
So questioning integrity is the big one.
You call somebody a cheat, you've said his integrity's gone out the window. I would suggest that any player who calls a referee a cheat, if he doesn't get sent off, he's the luckiest person ever.
Was it a case that you always felt as a player that you could, Dermot used that phrase there, into the ether, that if you turned around and shouted whatever you want but did it up into the air somewhere, that you were probably okay? And if it always seems to be like the intent of sort of staring, and maybe also you would say the proximity you are to a referee are the two things that could get you in real trouble.
Yeah, I think there's an element where the referees understand what the situation is, whether it's frustration at yourself, whether it's frustration at the decision, but then it's not necessarily just aimed at the referee, it's just aimed at the decision on a whole that you don't agree with. So I'd like to think there's a bit of common sense at times. I think this one, reading between the lines, seems to be a lack of understanding from the referee about where it's being aimed, and maybe a breakdown in communication language-wise. I think there's a possibility of that as well. Hopefully a little bit of common sense prevails along the way somewhere, because I think there's got to be an element where what I never understand is why the two people don't go in the room together and talk it through and just have a bit of common sense. This is what I said, this is how I took it, this is what I thought you said to me, I'd never do that, or blah, 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 whatever it might be, but just have a bit of common sense about it.
That's a very interesting point that Stephen makes about language, and that obviously the Premier League is one of the most multicultural leagues around, that certain words, or if you're a player that's learnt an English word, that you perhaps don't perceive it to be as offensive as it possibly could be if you aim it at a referee.
He said he learnt it, so he should know what it means.
Oh, well, I mean, sometimes you don't quite get the nuance, do you?
Yeah. No.
There are certain words you clearly know you're being abusive towards someone, but other times it might be, oh, this is okay in a certain context, but towards a referee, it's not.
Looking at what he's alleged to have said, whether it be the minor charge or the major charge, the prefix word is universal, I think. I think every referee understands that, whether it be in Spain or whether it be in England.